Hey everyone, Joey here, and today we're going to go over all of the things that you need to know about retro handhelds. Starting with number one, there is no such thing as playable out of the box. All of these handhelds have some sort of level of things that you need to do before you can actually or really play them. The general recommendation with these devices is that you replace the included SD cards with branded ones from a reputable manufacturer like Samsung or SanDisk or any of the actual brands. And you also want to replace the actual games that come with the devices because many of them have issues, they have problems, and so on. That being said, there are many people out there, most of the hobby, that do buy these devices. They pay the extra for the SD card full of games, and they expect it to arrive fully playable, ready to go. But that still just isn't the case. If we use Anbernic devices, for example, they don't have Nintendo games. And I'm going to assume you purchasing a retro handheld, you likely want to play some Nintendo games, Pokemon, Super Mario, and so on. You now need to learn how to add and remove games, where to find those games, and so on, so you can play Nintendo games. The funny thing about Pokemon is for the devices that do actually include Nintendo games, and so Pokemon, they have broken versions of them. You can see this right across social media. Users will post a picture of Pokemon Emerald or any other, and they can't save the game. Or they get to the SSN, and the game just breaks. Or there's a myriad of other issues. Pokemon is the most obvious, but it all ties back to the fact that the games that are included with these devices are kind of junk. Long story short, there is no such thing in this hobby as an out-of-the-box device. It just does not exist. All of them require some level of setup. Thankfully, you have people like myself that have guides for pretty much every device out there to get you up and running, but it will require some work. Some devices require less work than others, but they all require something. Number two is not widely known, but it should be. And this won't apply to a lot of Americans that buy off of websites that ship in US dollars. But if you buy off Indiegogo, where the project is in the project currency, and usually it's in Hong Kong dollars or whatever it is, then it will actually affect Americans as well. But you want to use a no foreign exchange fee credit card, or a no forex fee card as it's usually called. A no forex fee credit card basically saves you in a lot of different ways. First, on the purchase, because what happens is you go and buy a $100 US device, and you see your summary on the checkout screen, and let's say it says $100 US shipped. When you go and check your statement, you're going to see typically around 2.5% added. That's kind of the average. It depends on the credit card. And that is the foreign exchange fee. And in this case, that is an extra $2.50. Now, you might be thinking, well, no big deal, I can pay that. It's only $2.50. But what happens in a scenario where the retailer cancels that order? Or you cancel the order? When you get your refund, it is only going to be for that $100, with any currency fluctuations. So maybe the dollar is worse now, and suddenly you're getting a refund for $95. So you lose out on that currency conversion, which you can't do anything about anyways, but you also lose out on that 2.5% that you paid before. So now you are $7.50 down. This is an example of a $100 device. Change this to a more expensive device. Maybe you're buying an Ioneo, an AYN, something like that. $400, $500, $1,000, more than that. You can start to see how this starts to add up. If you're buying a GPD Win 5 without a no foreign exchange fee credit card, it's going to cost you quite a bit. If you cancel that order, it's going to cost you double. Again, all of this applies to when you make purchases outside of your current currency. So if you're American and you're making a purchase in Canada, Hong Kong dollars, yen, whatever it is, you're going to get hit with that foreign exchange fee. If you're Canadian, buying in the US, you're going to get hit with that. Canadian buying any other where in the world, you're going to get hit with that. That sort of thing. There are no foreign exchange fee credit cards out there. You should look into them. A lot of them are free, and it'll save you from this hassle. Number three is you should be aware of the different tiers of actual handhelds. There is a power chart of handhelds, basically, and you've likely heard me or other content creators say this many different times. But you've likely heard the term PlayStation 1 and under. This device is a great PlayStation 1 and under device. And that is the vast majority of handhelds, especially in the under $100 category. And it basically means these devices can play systems all the way up to PlayStation 1. This doesn't include Nintendo 64 or Sega Dreamcast, so it is NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Game Boys, arcade systems, all of that sort of thing. But then you have the next tier up, and that would be Sega Dreamcast, Nintendo 64, and PlayStation Portable. The cheapest device as of today that does this is the Magni Air X for under $100. And this tier continues up until the $150 to $200 range. You can find a lot of devices in that price range that do all of these systems perfectly, plus the previous tier that we talked about of PlayStation 1 and under. And they do have some levels of success with the next tier above, which would be PlayStation 2, GameCube, and so on. And so that is the third tier, the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Wii, and beyond tier. Nintendo Switch, Game Hub, all of that. These devices generally are $200 minimum and go all the way into the thousands, of course, especially if we look at PC handhelds and things like that. The entire hobby can basically be separated into 3 different tiers, like I mentioned. Now, not to confuse you, but emulation isn't linear either. So you will run into some handhelds that can play PlayStation Portable, but not Nintendo 64. Or you're going to run into somewhere where we'll play 3DS games, but not DS through Melon DS. Or you're going to run into some scenarios where they can't play Sega Saturn, but you can play Nintendo Switch. Nintendo 64, Sega Saturn, pretty hard to emulate. So when we look at emulation devices, those are usually the ones that are left out because they are hard to emulate, and so devices can usually skip those into another tier, and they'll be able to play something else, but not Nintendo 64 or Sega Saturn, which is pretty hard to run. Then we have DS, which is hard with Melon DS, but if you use Drastic as an emulator, then it's generally fine. So you can see how it can get a little bit confusing here, but just keep in mind the tiers that I talked about, and it should keep you in line. Number 4 is do not buy the R36S or the R36 clones or any of them that say R36 whatever, R39, R whatever. All of those handhelds are absolutely garbage. My most viewed video on my channel with over 500,000 views is a setup guide for those devices. A setup guide that I did because at the time that device was being parroted and touted around by so many different places in the world with nobody talking about how bad they are to set up. Not even the fact that the controls and the build quality and everything about those devices are the worst of any handheld that I have ever used, and I have reviewed hundreds of handhelds at this point. There was a time where the R36S was cheaper than comparable alternatives by a lot. This was years ago. Nowadays, the R36S and the clones should not be bought under any circumstances. My Discord and other Discords are spammed full of people that require help setting up these devices. And not in the normal way of just, hey, can you help me figure out how to do this? This way is figuring out how to fix the device to actually work because it just breaks and it is so bad. So you know how you get advice from somebody who fixes appliances for a living or an actual automotive repair shop on what car should I buy? What appliance should I buy? Take it from somebody whose job is literally this. Do not buy the R36S or their devices. They are awful. Buy from an actual brand. Anbernic devices are that cheap now. Other devices are that cheap now. There is no reason to buy those devices. If you want examples of what to buy instead, the Battle XP G350 is awesome. The Anbernic RG35XX Pro is awesome. Those are 2 easy ones. If it is $10 cheaper to buy an R36S, I can guarantee you are going to save $100 in time by just spending the extra $10 to get a better handheld. Number 5 is save some money while you shop. A lot of these handhelds are on AliExpress, which ships worldwide, and AliExpress has sales like no tomorrow. Depending on where you live on the world, you can find insane deals, and usually this applies to Americans, although recently, Europeans were finding that the Retroid Pocket G2 that just released was €136 shipped, saving them like $40 or so off of the same device from Retroid's website directly. That is just one example. Then there is Ambernick and AYN and other devices and so on. The long story short is, while it is still recommended to buy directly from the manufacturer where you can and when you can, in a lot of cases it is going to be cheaper to buy from AliExpress or alternative options. Just be careful with the seller and all of that, but they are generally safe for the most part, except anything that says shop and then like 400 numbers. Stay away from that because you're going to get a light bulb. Last tip of the day, and it is avoid the rabbit hole. Look, remember that first time that you bought one of these devices. Go back to how you felt when you pre-ordered a retro handheld. Why did you do it? Well, you saw somebody playing a system or a game that you were like, you know what? It'd be cool to play Super Mario World again. It'd be cool to play Pokemon again. That was why you bought it, right? You didn't buy it so you could be like, you know what? I want to collect that and throw it on my shelf. And then I want to get that one, put that one on my shelf. Then I want to get that. And despite the fact that I have them all behind me because this is my actual job and living, I can guarantee you, you can only use one at a time. So do not fall into the rabbit hole of buying 1,000 of these devices, because take it from somebody who has them all, it doesn't do anything for you. Playing games is the end goal here. When you buy one of these devices, the reason you are buying one of these devices is to play games on it. And I can guarantee you when you first got it, that was your first thought. Man, I want to play a game. There are new devices coming out every week. I have to review them. I have to show you them and tell you if they are worth the purchase or not. Usually not. That is where my reviews end up going. I usually tell you that a better device already exists because you already have that better device. It's very rare that a new device comes out that it is much better than a previous one. Or in a scenario like the AYN Thor that comes out, which is a nice dual screen device. This is cool. This is different. This is a better device because we don't have something like this. So be very careful when you're watching reviews, getting sucked into FOMO about devices that are 5% better than the one you have. Because I can guarantee you probably have not played a lot of games on the device you have now before you are shifting over to a new device that you're gonna set up and not play games on again. Let me further this point for you. I do reviews. I get like 40, 50, 60 devices a year to review. This year was no different. I had an Odin 2 Portal back in January. It was my main device all the way up till November. I am a reviewer. In that entire time of 11 months, not one single device was better than the Odin 2 Portal for me to use throughout my entire time of playing games. It's a perfect example. I could have used whatever I wanted this year. Does not matter. I could have had an Ally X from last year, used it the entire year, skipped every single handheld that came out, and I would have been happy because I was playing games. So, not always is it a scenario where you will buy something and it will be better than what you have. In a lot of scenarios, what you have is going to be the best because you have it and you can just play on it and play those games. Now, all that being said, if you have an R36S, you definitely do not have the best device. So go and replace that with something better, and you can see why we love these devices instead of seeing why we have problems with these devices. That's all I have for you today. Like my normal tips types video, I wanted to do something where it's not obvious tips. I wanted to do something out of the box. A lot of people don't know about no forex fee credit cards. A lot of people don't know about different things that I talked about in today's video. So I want to bring something to the table that is more than just beginner tips, but might help others that are already in the hobby and have been for a while. So that's going to be it for today. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow. Come join me on the Discord to talk all about handhelds. Support me through YouTube membership if you like my stuff. And hope you all have a good one.